Hello, everyone. So, you know how I tell you that when we get new leaks from a Walmart computer or a website, it's never just like one day of leaks. There's always going to be something that gets figured out a little bit later. A couple days later, a couple more will come out. That's pretty much what happened again. Well, so of course, I've already made my video about it. I don't want to go to the hole twice this fast. We'll talk about it a little bit deeper in the news roundup. Suffice to say, it did confirm we're getting even more War for Cybertron toys in Studio Series. And at this point, we're pretty much convinced that it's going to be War for Cybertron, the video game, rather than the Netflix show, which would be rather redundant at this stage. So we're kind of getting prepared for what that is going to look like. We already know that we're getting Bumblebee and Barricade at Deluxe class. Now we find out we're getting Megatron and Optimus at Voyager, which is great because those two designs, they were really limited by the fact that they were crammed into Deluxes the first time they got toys. Prime is a little bit too fiddly for my taste, getting him transformed. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a much more intuitive design to him. And then Megatron I love as a design. So, and I really like that deluxe figure. So to get a Voyager scale one is going to be really, really nice. But that does lead me to wonder who else is around. Like, what else from War for Cybertron's designs should we be getting toys of if this takes off and Studio Series keeps making more of them? So this is going to be nice little wish list for me personally, but just in case you're not familiar with the War for Cybertron designs from those games, this is going to be a nice little refresher and a nice little who's who of who I think should be getting toys at this point. Remember, this isn't me predicting. This is just me hoping for the stuff I personally want. And that's going to begin with the one that I think I really want a redo of, which is going to be Starscream. I thought that toy was fine, but the proportions are kind of off on it, and I really would like them to go farther. There is a Dirge and there's a Dirge and a Ramjet that exists from that design. No thrust that I can remember offhand, though. Admittedly, I could be misremembering. It's been a long time, but I don't remember seeing a thrust at that design. I do remember Jetfire sharing that design, so we could get a Jetfire out of this too, with enough remolding. Still, of course, it's Starscream, so it's pretty obvious. I wouldn't even put money on him not showing up. I feel like he is inevitable. All right, but let's go into some that have never had toys. I just think are really cool designs, like Ironhide, for instance. Of course, I would mean a Ratchet as well, but Ironhide in particular fits this aesthetic so well. This gruff and worn out aesthetic. This is where I wouldn't mind the battle damage so much because that's how they always looked in the games. I wouldn't mind kind of a gruffer texture to these toys. It's a big bruiser type. Really, really love the design. I don't have vehicle modes for many of these, by the way, so I apologize for that. But I do have one for Ironhide, and it's a beefy Cybertronian heavy truck kind of armored thing. It very much kind of resembles Soundwave's vehicle mode as well, because there are quite a few of these models that are reworks of each other. It's Transformers. That really shouldn't surprise anybody. It's what we've been doing since 1984. But it does look really, really cool. And I would love to get my hands on a beefy Voyager class Ironhide like this. What else? Well, if we're doing the Seekers again, I would love to get a Slipstream. So I believe, I could be mistaken on this, I believe this was the first time Slipstream was properly given her name in fiction. Because we had, I don't remember when Slipstream came up. She was always the female Starscream in animated. And then the name Slipstream worked in somewhere. I believe it was this game that first used it. And I could be mistaken on that. Don't hold me to that. But it's one of the more memorable times because it's one of the first times that she came back after animated. So I would love to see that kind of homaged and to actually get her in a physical toy. And of course, it's just a cool design. The teal and the purple work really, really well. Slipstream's always cool if you're going to use her properly. I could go for it. Maybe not as a Starscream retool. I think she needs to be her own thing, but I really want her to exist. How about this guy? Now, bear with me. Bear with me. Because this one only appeared in the DS game, so it's not a design that some are going to be familiar with. You're going to say Hot Rod, and you'd be wrong. You would be wrong. This is Hot Shot. In the weird world of trademarking, they couldn't get the name Hot Rod, or at the very least, the name Hot Rod was not protectable. So they couldn't use the name Hot Rod on him at the time. They also could not use the name Rodimus because that didn't fit in with the narrative of the story. There was no room for someone who was a would-be Prime, because the whole point of the game, the whole concept of the game is the last of the Primes. So you can't have someone who's heir apparent and going to be a Prime. So they went with the closest name they had on trademark, which was Hot Shot. And considering he is a hot rod, Hot Shot here, so it feels wrong. I know who it is. You know who it is, but that's his name. But he does look fantastic. You know, I love this like layered blade thing instead of the flame. That makes a lot more sense because, like, you know, like Flame Deco is not really like a Cybertronian thing. That's very much an Earth thing, but it still gets the same look and idea across. Like, I like the heavy set look to him. He looks powerful. Yeah, like this one this one is like a longer shot because, like I said, it's DS game only. I feel like they're going to stick with the main titles for this. But it's such a nice looking hot rod. I mean, hot shot. It would be such a waste. It'd be such a waste not to do it. And I feel like a lot of the DS designs, the DS exclusive characters, would be a waste if they didn't throw them in somewhere. You know, so we're going to see more on this list. Like the Ultra Magnus. Look how good the Ultra Magnus looks. Now, they did a Fall of Cybertron Magnus, which was just a resculpt of Optimus. And for what it actually wasn't bad. There's actually a little bit of clever engineering that actually made him look much more Magnus-like when he was retooled, even though I think the only sculpting change was the head. But I would love this. This is, again, Voyager scale, leader scale, if you could get away with it, preferably. But that long, heavy armored truck, I love the look of that. I mean, it just looks like a rolling battering ram. And I'm kind of into that for this like super buff version of Ultra Magnus. And as long as we're talking about this particular body type, like I said, a lot of these actually do use the same toolings as each other. Well, not the same toolings, the same models. Let's get into video game terms, not toy terms. But this model also got reused as well, and it got reused into Motormaster. And this is probably not happening, if only because we already have a Motormaster on the list. This is like down the line if this toy line does well and we get a whole bunch more War for Cybertron designs. I could see Magnus being eventually done, and then I could see Motormaster being the retool, and it's a sick looking Motormaster. That much gunmetal gray and the bright purple shining through it. He looks so good here. He looks so cool. I want this. I want this really, really badly. This is such a cool design. It is a long shot. I will absolutely admit it is a very, very long shot. But you know what? In the world of Transformers today, we've seen weirder characters get very, very good toys. So I would be very thrilled, but not terribly shocked if this actually happened, especially if they do go the Ultra Magnus route at some point. How about Dinobots? Because we got Grimlock in the original design. We got Grimlock in the original toy line, but man, all the Dinobots had such good redesigns for that game. But I really feel like Swoop Among Them was like one of the cooler ones. I love the upturned wings, giving him this like bladed back look. Kind of, it's a little shrapnel in that sense. But man, it looks good. Which I didn't think to put the picture in here, but Fall of Cybertron and Insecticons, please, because like I've had that kickback for so long. And it still does not have any other Insecticons to go with it. I feel so bad. Like like Hasbro's all about completing sets, right? They're all about completing sets, right? You're gonna go back and complete those deluxes, right? Right. A boy can dream, but I feel like Dinobots are far more likely. We've already had the Voyager Grimlock. I don't know if they would revisit that or just call it like check the box. So we'll just keep making similar Dinobots. But yeah, I feel like a lot of those Dinobots had such good designs, it would be a shame to waste them. Speaking of really good designs, does he look familiar to anybody? Now, no fair helping if you know who it is, because this is actually going to throw a few people off. I mean, it's a little bit Sentinel Prime, right? Because it's huge and buff. It's mostly blue, but no, that would be wrong. That would be wrong. It's also not an original character. This is an existing Transformer. This is Scattershot. And you can tell, no, it's not the Technobot. No. This is Cybertron Scattershot. More specifically, his Cybertron defense form, being homaged in the War for Cybertron video games. And he looks absolutely awesome. He looks so good. You already know by now, if you watch this enough, I like big power aesthetics in my robots. So, like, this works really, really well for me. On top of the fact that it's a little bit of love for Transformers Cybertron. So, like, touches me right here. It's going to touch me in the wallet much harder if they actually do this. Because I will do this. I will absolutely get this. I do have the vehicle mode shot of him, too. He looks so nice. The weird thing about this is, like, he's gone full hover tank. You can see the treads in the back. Here, look, take a look at the legs. You can see the treads. Like, he's got the treads just like his original character had. He's not using them. He's just gone full hover with it. Now, to be fair, in that fiction, like, Megatron did this too. You can have the treads down, or you can fold them up and go hover tank. So it's kind of what's going on here. I would love a toy that could do that, by the way. I mean, we're going to get a Megatron that does it. Scattershot could do it too. Hey, remold. Can I get a Let's see. No, I don't think it really works for Megatron. That'd be a hard sell to retool that into Scattershot, now that I think about it. Like, man, it comes so close. This comes close. I could see them doing like a Warpath. Like, trying to figure out how to get a Warpath out of this too. Because he's also in there. He's got a War for Cybertron design as well. Let's see, who else? Well, we got another Unicron Trilogy one in there. Demolisher was actually in the game. This is another one that would be super cool. Now, I believe Demolisher was like DLC character, if I remember right. So that does reduce his chance. That like dramatically reduces his chance of actually making it to the toy line. But man, I love, like I've said it before, I love when characters can escape their original fiction and join Transformers, the universe as a whole, and be a character that can exist pretty much anywhere. And like, you just kind of know, like, oh, kind of fits. Demolisher being one of them. I think he's one of the standouts from Armada that definitely deserves more toys and more attention in modern fiction. You know, even if you just need just like a grunt Decepticon, it might as well be the kind of dumb missile truck guy. You know, I would love to see him back. You know, and if it's this design, I'd go for it. I'd take it. You know, I would be a big fan of this one. I'm going to finish off on a cheat. I'm going to finish off on a major cheat. They've had toys before, but I think they need them again. And I think they desperately need the upgrade. I'm going to go with 5 at once and say, can we get the Combaticons again? Now, this one's a real long shot because they would have to space them out. Well, maybe not as bad as the Stunticons because it's not 4 cars. But you know they'd be like no more than like 1 or 2 a wave. So they'd still take a while to get out. But this toy, like the toys, the design work on the toys are great. The engineering work is terrible. I love how a lot of these characters look. I hate how a lot of them function. Like, they desperately needed a few more runs, and they desperately needed to have a core character that was a larger scale. Again, The original War and Fall of Cybertron toys were relegated to deluxe classes just to say they made toys out of the video game characters. Nothing larger than that. So Onslaught had to kind of work as a torso at the deluxe size, and it does not look good, does not look right. It absolutely needs another go-around. I think even third-party companies realized that and actually did make a Voyager scale one that the deluxes could connect to. I at least I remember seeing this from third party. But yeah, it's great design work. I love the designs, like Blastoff especially. I really like how Blastoff looks. Man, they do not work. The toys just do not work. I would love for them to get a second go around. Now that, because keep in mind, like that line, the Fall of Cybertron ones especially, they were among those toys that were kind of caught in that budgetary gap where they had such a sudden shift in the budget, they really weren't sure what to do with it yet or how to best utilize it. So the toys came out were noticeably small, noticeably more hollow than even toys that came afterwards. You know, you take a look at how Swindle turned out, and like he's literally just shells connected to a very loose skeleton. They could do so much better these days. Like, they are much better at working with those budgets. And the budget's smaller now, but it feels like the toys are more substantial than the Fall of Cybertron toys were. Some of them are even larger. It's weird. But I think of anything that deserves another go, it's this crew. It's not very likely, but hey, if we vote with our wallets, if the War for Cybertron toys actually work in Studio Series, maybe. Maybe. So that's going to be my wish list. There's plenty of options that I have not named. Who knows which ones we're going to be getting. But yeah, they have no shortage of material if they're going to go with this. I hope it's successful because this and a whole bunch of others would be really cool to see again. So I will see you the next time. Next time we have another leak. And hopefully I will actually have enough to talk about when those leak. And not have to craft a video like this. But this is fine too. This is fine too. Get some thoughts out. That's the thing that matters. So, as always, I will be back soon to share more of these thoughts. And I hope I'll see you then. Guys, I am facing the most powerful enemy any YouTuber can face, the algorithm, and I need your help to defeat him. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment. Every time you do, we attack that algorithm and we drive it back until it can no longer defeat this channel. Thank you very much.